So hello everyone. It is time again for an actual art topic video. The fuck is this? I know, it feels like forever since I've actually done an art topic. Really does. I feel like I haven't done one in a long ass time. Now this is more of like a redo, redux, glow up, whatever you guys want to fucking call it anymore, of an old video I made where the music ended up getting copyrighted, which is why I don't put music in the back of my audio anymore, because even though I was off of a copyright-free site, like by that the site, they openly say on the website, everything on their site is copyright-free, you can use it for anything. Apparently that's, I guess, not true compared to YouTube standards, or it changed, and I just don't want to have to deal with that shit, because I've had a lot of people go back on some of my older videos and be like, wait, why does the audio just cut out randomly? That's why, and I don't have the audio for that anymore. And I didn't want to just full on take the video down because the video still means something to me. So yeah, I just want to talk about it because a lot of people seem to ask about it in a lot of live streams and in a lot of other things. And so I'm like, well, got my handy dandy notebook for my wonderful paper ASMR. It wouldn't be a Michi video without me stumbling over my words now, would it? And I want to just talk about adoptables. Just reiterate, since I'm also a little more confident in myself now and my talking abilities, because I feel like I've been doing this YouTube thing for about a year straight of, like, not missing an update unless life happens. But that's that, and I'm already rambling. So, pretty much people are asking, like, what the fuck are adoptables? What's the point of adoptables? Why get adoptables? And so, I'm gonna try to have as many of those questions answered here. And a lot of them are pretty basic answers, but a lot of people just still don't get it, or they think there's, like, an ulterior motive behind it. So, let's just get into it. The short answer of what an adoptable is, you make a design to sell. That's pretty much the basic bitch example. Is, let's say you make a character that was really fun to draw just like once, never want to draw it again. And I'm not saying for an illustration reason or this and that. I mean, like, you just doodled a character, not even like doing anything, just the character standing there or doing something or looking cute. Because doing it with an illustration is very different. I've seen people do that too, but sometimes you can, be like, oh, I like this design, but I don't want to make a character into it, but I don't think I'm ever going to draw it again, so I'm going to sell it, make some money, or get some art, or trade it, or yeah. So, now, the first thing is, why do it? Why would people, at least that's what I wrote down here in my notes, why do it? Why do people buy characters from other people? And the lists I have here are pretty much, at least these are 3 examples that I see all the fucking time. And it's people who can't draw, writers, or maybe their art skill isn't as high as they would like it to be, and they want to have a character, a mascot, a thingy that's theirs, but nothing they come up with is what they would like. And so maybe they see a design that someone else made that's for sale, and they're like, oh, I really like that. And, oh, I have money, or I have art, or I have whatever it is you can for that. Because the next one is, a little harsh here, but it's kind of true. It's people who aren't that creative. There are a lot of really good artists out there with amazing skill and amazing talent, but when it comes to making their own shit that isn't like fan art or client work, they've got like in that department, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are people like that out there where they have kind of like no real original ideas, and they can't think of, and by that I don't mean like they're tracing, but I mean like they'll be like, oh, here's generic anime chick, or here's fan art, or here's all client work. They don't have their own stories, they don't have a mascot, they don't have this and that, which is fine. You don't really need those, but some people want them, even though no matter what they do, they can't seem to find anything. They're like, this just doesn't fit what I need. And then, then they look and they're like, oh, that adoptable looks kind of exactly what I want. Ooh, it's for sale or for trade or yada yada. And then the next one, it's just people who like your designs, which is kind of like me. I buy adoptables when I'm like, ooh, it's a good price, I have the money, kind of cool art, I could you do something with this. Even if it's not story driven, it's like, oh, I like that design, it could be fun to draw, fun to get art of, fun to tweak around and think of things. That's kind of it. It's a lot like a lot of art. You don't need art. I talk about this constantly, where art is not food. You do not need art to breathe, to eat, to drink, unless it's your job. But even then, you still don't need it. It's very much a luxury item. So yes, you don't need adoptables. You don't need characters that people sold. And just because people make adoptables doesn't mean that every single character they have is for sale. I've had people come to that too, where they're like, oh, you do adoptables, can I have this character? I'm like, oh no, it's for a story or a project. And they're like, oh, well, you do adoptables. And I'm like, yeah, I sometimes do adoptables. I've been doing them more recently, but I don't do them as my full-time job. There are artists out there, actually, surprise, surprise, there are artists that is their full-time job. They don't take commissions. They don't do freelance. They just make adopts, they sell it, people buy it, and they make money. Yeah. And so the next thing I have here is prices. And this is really important when talking about this whole thing, because some people see some adopts and they're just like, $200 for a character? Really? But then you have to think of it as well, because there are a lot of people who do that and they have a name behind them, 2, really, really good fucking art, or 3, maybe they have a lot of art of the character they're selling, so you're not just getting the character, maybe you're getting 30 to 40 pieces of art that either they have made, or they've commissioned, or they've been given, so you're getting more bang for your buck than just a thing. Unless it's literally name, because that happens too, where some people buy adopts just because there's an artist name behind it. Like if Rebecca Sugar, just as an example, made a gem OC that wasn't in Steven Universe and threw it up on Twitter and was like, okay, $1,000, whoever wants this design, and they get the design. Chances are, with how popular she is and how big the show is, somebody would buy it. Somebody would buy that little thing for $1,000 because her name is attached to the drawing and to the thing. That's sort of how it goes in one way. Another way for paying is, this is one I've seen more recently. I actually didn't see this the longest time, and it was OTA. And if you see OTA anywhere, what that stands for is O to Adopt. And that's where maybe the artist who made it, they don't do this as a living, they don't really need the money, and so they're just like, okay, or not O to Adopt, it's Offer to Adopt. I'm a fucking idiot. My bad, I did my own thing. I've seen O to Adopt, Offer to Adopt, so it's whatever you guys incorporate it as. See, I'm already stumbling. This is so great, so profesh. So, I don't know why the fuck I talked like that. When you do that, it's, again, like I've seen people do it where it's like, okay, maybe, let's say you don't have a PayPal, or you don't have points, or you don't have Swipe, or whatever other means of paying people are. You are like, oh, well, I'm an artist. Can I trade art for you? And then you show them examples of your art. You'll be like, okay, I will do like 2 pictures for this character. And then if the artist who made the character for sale is like, okay, deal. Then, you do your end, and then they give you the file, and then you're good. You're good. The next one is trade. And that one could be, maybe they don't need money. Maybe they don't want money. Maybe they had a bad issue with the design. I've had this happen with a couple characters that I've had to sell in the past, where I've had issues with the design or just bad memories, and I'm just like, I have so much art of this character, or in the opposite, I don't have enough art of this character, and the art's really outdated, to where I'm like, I don't really want to sell it for any money, I'd rather trade it for something, so I'll see if anybody want to trade me a character for that, and that's exactly what it sounds like. You trade me a character, and I trade you a character, and we try to do one of equal value for each thing. Oop, bump the mic. Each thing, so that way, it's fair. And then obviously the last one is money. Money, money, money. And a big thing here, like I sort of talked about with the Rebecca Sugar thing, is when money's involved, you have 2 sides of the internet. Okay? And I'm going to get a lot of flack for this right now. I already know I am. There's the industry side, and then there's people like me. Okay? There's the people who are in the industry, have a name behind them. You don't even have to be in the industry. You have a name behind you. EASYPaintToolSAI is a good example of this, because she's like really big on YouTube, or Bailey J or Jazza. I'm sure if they made one and they slapped a Buko Bucks price sticker on it, somebody gonna buy it, because they're very popular and they have the following and they have the name. Compared to if I made an adopt, right? So when I make an adopt, I try to think of just how much time I put into the design, what the art level's at, whether or not I used a base, which I made. If I used a base for it, then, obviously it's going to be cheaper because I didn't end up drawing each individual character. Yeah. And so when there are people out there who don't have a big following, don't have a big name, have the people who were like, oh, yeah, don't underprice yourselves, you make me look bad. And it's like, in a way they are right, but in a way they're also wrong. You know, and the reason why they're wrong, okay, is because they have a following. A lot of people don't, okay? If I had 3 million subscribers, 10,000 people on DA, 10,000 people on Tumblr, like just really, really big following, right? I could afford to offer higher prices because chances are there will be people out there who will be willing to pay the higher price. But I'll use myself as another example. A few years ago, when I didn't even have 100 subscribers, or not 100 subscribers, I didn't even have 1,000 subscribers, I didn't even have 1,000 watchers on DA, I had to price myself accordingly if I needed the money. And another thing, too, is adoptables are art. They are art. And by that, that's such great grammar. I'm just like hearing that back in my head. They are art. They are an art piece. That sounds better. Better, Michelle. That it is an art piece. That's better. Even better grammar. Gotta correct yourself sometimes, guys. It's kind of how people watch these videos anyway. When you make an art piece and you sell it, you're the one putting value in it. Yes, obviously, you know, if you use traditional supplies and you mail it to the person and then you got to factor that into the equation. You also have to factor in skill level and everything. But if you have a name behind it, that adds to it as well. If you don't have a name behind it, that also adds to it. But you need to not come off as desperate when selling your adoptables, your art, anything in general. Because when you come off as desperate, or it's so cheap it's too good to be true, usually one of two things happens. One, people think it's sketchy, or two, they think it's stolen. And there's usually no in between. And so you need to be okay with them not selling. I had designs, heck, not even 4 years ago, that I still technically have up. I don't have the original files for it anymore, but they never all sold. Maybe I sold one if I was lucky. I would sell one. And then I remember semi-recently I had someone go back and go through all of my old adoptables and be like, oh, can I still get this? Can I still get that? And I'm like, oh, sure, but I don't have the files for those anymore. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. And they were like, oh, no, it's no big deal, whatever. And then because of that, I still, in a way, made money, even if it was years later. But they're a luxury item. You don't need them. You know, it's kind of the whole thing that I really wish a lot of artists would get through their heads. Yes, as an artist, I like getting paid. I like eating. I like paying my bills. I like having electricity. Those are things I all love doing. But I also know that you don't need art. You know, you don't need an adoptable. Which is something I do see with a lot of things that I'm going to go go into now, okay? And that is, being an adoptable artist is lazy. I've seen a lot of people like show this out at adoptable artists where literally that's all they do. Again, like I said earlier at the earlier part of this video, they don't do commissions, they don't do freelance, they don't do videos, they don't do this, they just do adoptables. No one is holding your hand behind your back and forcing you to buy that furry adopt, okay? You don't need it. You shouldn't be knocking on people who are doing something and making money off of it, and they're having fun. If the artist is having fun with it and just like, fuck, here's some fun cash, then let them do that. You know, granted, there are some artists that let it go to their head a little bit, but again, no one is forcing you to buy that thing. No one is tying your hand behind your back. No one is logging into your account and forcing you to buy it. You don't have to have it. You don't need it. I know, I say it 1,000 times, but it's fucking true. Alright? And again, who made it so they could do that? Their following, their fans, their people. And a lot of people are like, oh, why is that happening? And it's like, well, because they're gaining a following, they're gaining a fandom, they're gaining a fan base, and they're helping do this, which is why the artist can be like, sure, I can just live off of adoptables. I don't have to do this and that. And if they're happy, leave them the fuck alone. Let them be happy. Now, I must sound like I'm all over the damn place again, but I'm kind of always like that in my videos, at least if you're a returning person. If you're new here, hi! Welcome to me and my rambles and my tangents, even though I have notes. And no, I don't script, I write notes, because if I script, I sound like I'm a robot. and I stumble over my words even more than I do now. And so we're going to end this little thing off on the open species versus closed species thing. Now, this could be a video all on its own, right? But I'd rather just do it here, so it's all in one place, so it's easier for people to listen to, if you can get past my rambling and my tangents. And open species is when free-for-all. You don't need to buy that adoptable because it's an open species. You can just make your own, you know? Compared to a closed species where the owner of the species made it so that way only they can make the designs, and maybe their friends can make the designs. Good examples of these, top of my head: E-Rays, Star Dragons, News, Dreamies, Swoosh Dogs. There's one where they're like rabbits with bunny tails. That sounds great. Rabbits with like bow tails. That's another one I've seen. I don't know the name of those at the top of my head. But those are usually all closed species. Sometimes they'll have make your own events. Sometimes they'll have trades. Sometimes they'll do this and that. Sometimes they'll have a free-for-all, like open for a very limited time. You know? And that's fine. Again, the creator of the species and the creator of the art has free reign to do it. And they're going to be like, oh, well, what's stopping me from making my own? Well, nothing is stopping you, but it is a dick move. You know, again, because maybe these people do make a living off of this. Maybe these people have a story behind it. Maybe these people work really hard to do these things, you know? And sometimes, I'll use just Star Dragons as a good example, because if you come into my Patreon streams, you know, somehow it always devolves into Star Dragons. But there's like a really deep lore and community behind it, because they've been around for so long. So that, like, people can meet friends in this community. They can make roleplay groups. They can have stories. They can do their own thing. They can do this, that. They can turn them into mascots. They can do whatever they want. And you might be asking, well, Michelle, wait, so if I buy a character from you, and I want to put it in a story, do I have to credit you? No, because now you own the character. Now, real quick, back on the industry thing, a lot of people don't know this, but depending on your name in the industry, a character design, at least from what I've been told, because I do have a couple of people I know who are in the industry, they start at $300, like at a minimum. And that's not even like a full turnaround. I think that's just a basic design, if you sell a character to a company. And that's a very, very, very low ball. Copyrights and that whole thing is, oh, you can look up 1,000 videos on it. There's people talking about it in great detail that are a lot better than me, where they know this stuff more than me. You know, I totally suggest doing it. And those people are like, oh, well, you should sell it for that price because that's an industry price. And then it's like, yes, but not in the industry. My name is growing, but it's not out there yet. And even more so with closed species. That happens a lot too. In the Star Dragon community, again, if you know about Star Dragons and you have one, chances are you know about Cuddle Skulls, I think her one of her usernames is. She's a lot. There's Delete the Stars. There's Mab. There's a lot of people out there. You learn people from their closed species or from their communities that you learn from the adoptable community. And if you still don't get it, don't be a dick. And if you're an adoptable whore, also don't be a dick. It's better just to explain to someone the best you can, like I'm trying to do here, so that way they know for the future. And with that, guys, I guess I should say all of the characters that I'm going to be having on screen as my background sound, since I'm not a cool guy. I throw my art and coloring that I've done in the background. These are all adoptables of mine that I've adopted over the years, that I've either drawn myself or I have commissioned other people to draw for me that I've colored, because coloring is fucking fun. And with that, I've rambled enough. I hope hope I was informative for you guys, pretty helpful. Been a little while since I've done an actual art topic-y talking thing. And I'll leave it here. As always, guys, I will. See you next time. Bye!